Anyway, fraud's legal now. Yeah, I mean, this guy just got pardoned. Who else got pardoned? There's so many pardons. I don't want to talk about them all. This tweet. The administration when it comes to pardoning frauds. Dude, I did not know that song would be on there. SBF might get pardoned, dude. Get the goat. Carlos Watson was just about to report for a 10-year sentence and then got pardoned. Financial conspiracy case. I think this guy had a fake media company, which he was claiming had a lot of viewers and readers it didn't have to raise money, which was a fraud. But also he had, I don't know if they say it in here. I remember this vaguely. He had one of his friends pretend to be a YouTube executive in a meeting with investors and be like, yeah, they're incredible. Anyway, he gets pardoned. I think he donated. The company strained to make payroll, ran late on rent, and took out pricey cash advances to pay bills. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. This guy definitely committed fraud and was sentenced by a Trump-appointed judge. You know, it's like crime is legal if you donate. It's crazy. Willfully flouted U.S. anti-money laundering laws to boost revenue. Oh, the Nikola guy got pardoned. The BitMEX cryptocurrency guys got pardoned. How much do I have to donate? I don't know. I gotta prepare my bribe to Dan Clancy. All right, next time I'm banned. Free my girl Elizabeth. Dude, get Liz Holmes out of jail. What did she ever do wrong? Except create a fake blood testing company and lie about it for years and years and years and raise a bunch of billions of dollars in capital. So girls can't have hobbies? That's what I'm saying, bro. Other than that, God forbid a girl boss slay. Knew you'd go straight to that. I knew you'd go straight to that. Nothing else gets talked about when it comes to my girl Liz Holmes. Is it illegal to give a pardon to someone that donates to your campaign, or is it something that's hard to prove? I don't know what the law is around pardoning. Pardoning seems like this literal get out of jail free card. Pardoning has just gotten more and more abused. It's like it's an ability that gets spammed, you know? It's a spammed ability. I don't know if there's a crime around it, but I don't think that it would be a problem. I don't think it would stop. Needs to be nerfed. Yeah, devs, talking to the framers of the Constitution. Devs, this thing is too OP, needs nerf. A pardon's kind of like Malzahar W. Zoomers in Congress be like, the Bill of Rights will henceforth be called Patch 1. That would be based. I think if we adopted more gaming terms for our government, we'd have a better government. It would be sicker. People would understand it more. They'd feel more bought in. We should have regular patch notes. Like, new laws should be considered patch notes. And it's like we buffed or we nerfed tax fraud or something. I think that'd be sick. And there's a government change log. And they write them in like cool, fun, like they have a dev diary, little YouTube video where they walk through the patch notes. What about the bill of lefts for all you liberal sissies? Sure. Bills for both sides. How about that? Can't go wrong with that. Get rid of political parties and that will fix our country. I think a lot of people would agree that our system has become very polarized so that political parties are not really benefiting the common person. But I think money in politics is more severe than political parties. Because who doesn't want to have a party? You know what I'm saying? I think we should have political pizza parties. And everyone has to get down, have a slice, and talk things out. You know what I'm saying? That's just me, though. Like, I think the government should get a 32-inch pie for every town, you know, or every group of people that wants to talk about politics and figure it out. And it's subsidized by the government. Science slumber parties. Yeah. There used to be election cake. Wait, really? You talking about Bill Clinton's ass or something else? Election cake. I've never heard of this. Wow, there was a colonial tradition of baking an election cake. In like the 1700s, they would make a cake and then give it out to crowds of people who come to vote. Wow, that's kind of high. I bet people would vote if we had cake. Hey, why doesn't the American government put taxes on buying stocks so that more people invest in bonds and the government can borrow money for cheaper? I guess because taxing the act of purchasing a stock would be pretty silly, seeing as how it could go down immediately and then you've paid a tax to lose money. That seems a little silly. I will say, you know, you're kind of joking, but unironically, how do I explain this? The way government bonds sell is like an auction. So imagine it's like this. I'm going to try and draw something. This is a 1-year bond. This is a 5-year bond. This is a 10-year bond. This is how much interest they have to offer to get you to buy it. So let's say it's like 5%. 5%, I mean, we have an inverted yield curve right now, so percent is normal. 7%, 9%, okay? So it's like this, okay? Okay, like that, you get it? So it's like an auction. So every day they go out there and they're like, hey, we need to sell a bunch of 5-year bonds. And the price, the amount of interest they have to offer, which is 7%, basically starts at 0 and ticks up until it gets to where someone's going to buy it. So right now, what is the 10-year at? Does anyone have it? It's like 4 something. We have an inverted curve, so it's really kind of fucked up. So let's just say 4.3. So this goes out to the world. We go out to the world, we say, hey, we have a bunch of 10-year IOUs. Who wants to buy them? Who wants to buy them for 3% interest? And everyone says, no. Who wants to buy them for 3.5%? Everyone says, no. Who wants to buy them for 4%? Everyone goes, no. And then we go 4.3 and they go, oh, okay. And then some people buy it. And that's how the price gets determined, right? It's being said that one of the plans, because this is very expensive, 4.3 is a lot for a 10-year bond, because we have so much debt. We have a fuck ton of debt. And if we have to roll it over at 4.3% interest, then we're going to pay a lot of interest. So we're trying to get this number down. We want them to buy it at like 2 or 1 or 0. Again, the government doesn't set this. The government can set this one. This is Jerome Powell. He can set this one, but not this one. And that's where we want to borrow. So one of the theories is that there is a desire to crash the stock market, or at least make stocks less appealing, so that more people start buying these bonds earlier in the auction. That is a theory, because this is so high, we have to get this number down. And usually in times of stress or tumult, is that, if the stock market's going bad, then people will start buying these bonds at 3% or 2% or 1% because they want the stability of the 10-year return. This is a theory as to, what Scott Bessent is thinking right now. Now, listen, it's complicated because I think Scott Bessent is smart enough to see this avenue, but he would also tell you that, like this tariff plan is really stupid. He would tell you this before he got the job, not now. It's difficult to say, but I will say that even if this was the plan, it's still like a desperation Hail Mary. But the idea is that like, hey, we just can't afford to pay this much interest on the amount of debt we have. So we have to get people to start buying government bonds less. Here's what's happening though. Here's the crazy thing. So the stock market hasn't been doing very well this year. It isn't crashed, but it's down, right? The Nasdaq's down 10%. And as it's been going down, this number has not been falling. Normally it does. Normally as stocks have any shakiness or go down, this number falls, but it hasn't, which is kind of spooky for this whole master 5D chess plan. People still don't want to loan US money for less than 4.3%. It's interesting. It's like we could just end up a spot where our stock market gets worse and our borrowing costs barely dip. It's like goes down to 3.7 or something. And that would be a disaster. Hey, Shrug, what kind of cuck buys bonds at 0%? You got to have the whole boot down your throat. Yeah, I think a little too aggressive for a government bond discussion. I'm not buying bonds at 0%. And I don't think that discussion was about it. They were trying to get down to like 1 or 2. But, there's actually some truth to what you're saying. Whereas in a country like Japan, where they've had negative yielding bonds or bonds at 0.1 or basically 0%, they buy half of it themselves, and then they have to force like banks and pension funds to buy it as part of their rules. Otherwise, they just wouldn't buy it. 0%, it's like nothing. So they have to be kind of cucked in a way, I guess. I guess. Like there's a truth to what you're saying. Are bonds protection against inflation for the buyer? No, bonds do not protect against inflation. In fact, bonds are really exposed to inflation. So, like let's say you buy a 10-year government bond paying 2%, whatever. You buy it for $100. And every year you get $2. If we get into an environment of like 5% inflation, then you're losing 3% a year. It's like, if inflation rises above this, you have a negative real yield. So what you can buy instead there are things called TIPS, Treasury Inflation Protected Securities. If you buy a TIPS 10-year at 2%, then every year it checks the inflation rate, the CPI, and can up this to 4% or it adds to whatever the inflation rate is, but it costs more. I mean, you get a smaller yield generally because of the inflation protection. But if you want to be protected, do you just stay losing money if inflation raises throughout the year till it updates? Oh, you mean on TIPS? Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just based on the CPI rate. I don't think it's like a split date. Can I Klarna bonds yet? Damn. It's actually low-key brilliant. If you could get Klarna to have 0% interest for 6 months, then you could buy a 6-month bond. Isn't Klarna 3 months already? Can't I just Klarna a 3-month bond and have essentially guaranteed money? How do I, what am I missing on downside? It looks like as long as the timing lines up, right? Because if there's ever a day where I have to pay Klarna and I don't have my money from my bond yet, then I'm fucked and it ruins everything. But as long as the timing is perfectly lined up where I have no interest and I get paid out before I have to pay Klarna back, then there's no real risk, but the profit is so minimal. Because again, you know, it's like for 3 months, you might get 0.125%, but theoretically, you could do it. I guess the other downside would be, no, I mean, even if Klarna went belly up, you borrowed the money from them. I mean, you shouldn't do this. I don't even think it lines up. Like, how long can you borrow from Klarna? It's not 3 months. How long is Klarna interest free? 6 months? Do they don't have like a fee or like a... It's just so interesting. It's just so interesting. It's such a small amount, but like if you theoretically could do it with a bunch of, that's just a funny idea. Is it illegal at all? No, it's not illegal. I also don't know. Klarna, you can't just get money. This is the actual problem. Klarna is not like you can't just get money. They only, you can use it to buy things. There's no Klarna checkout button on Treasury Direct. It's not a cash loan. That's the problem with it. Okay, I figured out what the problem is. Klarna an item and pawn it. Okay, so now you've added the risk. What I was talking about was risk-free. Now you've added the risk where I have to pawn something for an appreciated value equal to the amount that I want to borrow. You've added the risk. But I guess theoretically, you could buy $10,000 worth of merchandise, then instantly return it for a full cash refund. Then put that cash in a 3-month bond, then get the yield on the bond after 3 months and then pay off your Klarna. Infinite money glitch right here on the stream. It's not fraud. No, it's not fraud. I mean, I guess you'd have to see Klarna specific terms if they like, there's no, it's arbitrage at worst, really. What's the, I mean, the fraud is like when we're talking about, if you could buy a treasury with Klarna, I don't see how it's fraud. If you put in all this middle steps where you have to like buy something and then return it to get cash, if you're like industrial scale buying and returning things to get money, it's not, no, I don't think so.